Hello everyone, Alta of Wisdom speaking. Today I'm releasing version 1.8 of the GridFather and the Acolyte. If you don't know these plugins, they are the VST equivalents of Autoplay and Autogrid MIDI edition from Max for Life. The Acolyte is the random step sequencer, which is the mono-channel version, and the GridFather is the multi-channel edition. I've completely redesigned the user interface, so I hope that you'd like it better. And I've added a few features as well, so let's get on to it. Alright then, I got this little project set up. Nothing fancy, just kick and bass and some hats. Just let's listen to the foundation of it. It's just for the sake of having something behind or plugins. Pretty simple. Now let's have a look at the Acolyte first, which is the mono channel version. So what I do have is I got a Serum basic patch with some FM. It has several things, just a delay. And on the modulation matrix, I've set two things. One is that the velocity will control the FM and the filter cutoff, which is a bandpass. And the mode will control the drive of the filter, so allowing us to add some boost to some notes. And in front of that, we have just one note, which is here, E1, which is playing one long note. And we have the Acolyte, which I've loaded before Serum, which is actually receiving the long note coming from Bitwig and generating notes that will be intercepted by Serum. So let's press play and have a listen at it, and you'll see how it goes. So in a nutshell, what we have in the user interface, we got the density here, which is the play probability. So if I turn that to 0, then no note will be outputted. I got the side chain, which will prevent the Acolyte from generating notes on the beat. So if you want to side chain to the kick, it will just not send any notes, so with a probability. So here some notes will pass still, but not all of them. There's a hold button here, which means that if you're playing like live, you can use your keyboard and have it pressing play and change notes as you go without needing to have a MIDI sequence or region or clip. I got a master speed, which allows to slow down the whole plugin. So basically it divides everything by the number which is there. So it can be half speed, third speed, etc. Then we have the looping engine, because one of the strengths of the Acolyte and the GridFather is that they are able to repeat the same randomized pattern. So here it's repeating a 1-bar sequence. You can set it to off if you want to have something completely random, but then you can choose whatever you need. The master speed will also control that. So if I say divided by 2, then the sequence will be 2 bars long. So just keep that in mind if you're playing with this setting. This is the number of the sequence which is currently playing. So, and these are the previous one which have been generated. So if I press new, then I will generate a new sequence, so new number, which will replace the existing one. But then I can load the sequence here, load the number, copy it, and I can cut it and put it there to force getting back to the previous randomized sequence. Then we have the step sequencer. It's pretty simple. You select which lengths you want and how often they should occur. There's a new feature here, which is the syncopation. What it does is trying to syncopate notes, which means that if you have, for example, here 1.8, it should play on every 8, but if I do syncopate, then it's gonna be shifted between the 8s, but we'll hear what it does. It's a bit tricky to use sometimes, because it will cut some notes, and so you have to play with the lengths as you see here. Yeah, feel free to play with this feature, and let me know how you deal with it. We have a reset button to get back to default values of the random step sequencer. Then we come to the settings of the outputted MIDI notes. So here is the duration of the note, the length between 0 and 100%, representing the actual full length of the note which has been triggered. So for example, here if it's 1/4 which is generated, then it's going to be between 0 and a 1/4, etc. Then we have the random velocity between a minimum and a maximum. And we have a possibility to control and set a given modulation value, a CC modulation. So here it's set to mod wheel because that's what I'm actually using in my Serum patch. So it's going to send modulation values to Serum. And then you can play with the pitch bend as well. So you can send random pitch bend to the plugin. I haven't been able to make that work in Bitwig, but I know that Bitwig is quite picky when it comes to pitch bend values, especially with MPE and stuff. So I know that it works in different DAWs, but I haven't managed to do that in Bitwig, whatever. And finally, so this is all the step sequencing, and then we have the transposition engine, which allows you from one input note, which is here the E1, to generate notes which are in a given scale. For example, let's say you want to do minor Phrygian, major Phrygian, whatever, major Phrygian notes. Then it's gonna set the probabilities of playing the root note and all the notes of the scale. And you have a probability here of transposing the basic note. And you can play with 5 different octaves. So this is the input octave, so E1. And you can have up to 2 octaves and down as well 2 octaves, but you can lock some of them so that even if it should play this note on octave above +1, it still will play this one, because usually you get better, more consistent output if you do that, but we'll play with that a little bit later on. So let's have a listen and see what the plugin is actually doing on that sequence, and then I'll change the sequence so you can see for yourself. So if I reduce the probability, so it's the same sequence, but it's playing less often. Let's get back to previous sequence. Yeah, when the playhead is looping, sometimes it glitches a little bit at the beginning, so that's pretty normal. It has to resync depending on the loop. Let's remove some syncopation. So you see we have less notes which are hiccuping between the steps. So let's play a little bit with the velocity. So as you see, remember the velocity is controlling the warp and the filter cutoff. So it's the same sequence, but with the velocity which been compressed or stretched. And now we can play with the modulation as well. You see the modulation here moving. And now let's add a little bit of transposition. Let's make this a little bit more musical so we can hear the notes. Okay, so you get the point, and then it's up to you to play with that. Let's switch to the GridFather. So it's gonna be pretty similar. The setup is a little bit more complex, of course, because you have several instruments and you have to route them because you can't load all instruments in the same track. So what you do have is the GridFather here. Yeah, let's remove this thing. The GridFather here, which is loaded, and we have the same kind of stuff. I got one MIDI note playing. And you see that on the plugin there is another section which is not present on the Acolyte, which is the channels section. And this has changed quite significantly compared to version 1.7. On the setup, let's just unmute all that. On the setup, it hasn't changed. You have some videos that I've made to explain you in different DAWs how to set it up. But basically what you do is that you have the GridFather here, and you're gonna ask for the the other tracks to actually listen of the to the output of the GridFather. I don't know what this number means, but whatever, it's the GridFather plugin which is loaded there. And then you need to filter the channels. So this one will listen to channel 1, channel 2, channel 3, 4, 5, up to 8, because it can do 8 channels at the same time. Then what you do is put all the tracks in record mode or monitor or whatever, so you can use that to record the actual notes, but as well to monitor them as you play. And then if you press play with this note here, it's gonna send notes to the tracks. So as you can see, if I solo one of the tracks, it's only playing sometimes. So I've set that up beforehand, and now if I have everything at the same time, they will play, but they will not collapse onto each other. They will not just layer on top of each other. So let's just record that output. So it's not in loop mode, so everything will be quite random, but whatever. You'll see what it does. So let's go. So as you can see, this is all very random. If you see the notes that we have here, yeah, it's just sometimes playing and sometimes not, but the good thing is that the notes are not overlapping each other, so you see that no two tracks are playing at the same time. The new feature which I've done here, let's just cancel that. The new feature which I've done there, it's to improve the consistency of what has been generated, is the possibility of having one channel play more than just one note. So I can say, okay, instead of having one note, I'm gonna ask it to play at least 1/4 or maybe 1/4.5. And so this is the same kind of approach as the weights here. So if you increase one of them, you increase the chances that it's going to play for that time. Let's say 1/4 and 1 second. So for example, channel 1 will play for 1/4, then we'll have channel 3 play for 1 second, etc. So let's hear what it does, and then we'll record, and hopefully you'll understand what it means. So it shows you what channel is playing and for how long. Let's add a little bit of color dotted. Okay, let's have a record, so we'll see exactly how it works. Okay, so if I zoom in on these tracks, so yeah, let's open one of them instead, it's gonna be better. Yeah, what you see is that now the notes are much more grouped than when they do, because it's actually playing for longer than just one note. So it allows you to have something which is much more consistent. Let's have a look at this one as well. Yeah, you see this one has been playing between 4.2 and 4.4, so the last note is of course overlapping a little bit, but it's been played within the lengths that I've requested. and this way we have something which probably sounds better. So now I've just recorded all this, so I can mute that track, and if I press play and just remove the record mode for all my tracks, for all my tracks, then you see that it's going to replay the exact same sequence. So now I can tweak it if need be. Of course, then what you do have is a totally random sequence. So you can freeze that sequence and it's going to play again and again for 1 bar, 2 bars, 4 bars, whatever, including the channel phrases. And then it's definitely up to you to cherry pick the best part that you need, and but still having the control, the possibility of change the things. If you see here the velocity, for example, you can change the velocities if you want. If you want to, you can even change the notes, the length. You can mute some of the notes if the groove doesn't somehow match. You have all the possibilities, but the Kickstarter of the grid is already done by the plugin, and I think that's pretty helpful. Okay, and so I hope it's clear enough and that you like that new version. Let me know in the comment if you have some requests, or what do you think, just what do you think of the new user interface and the new features. I'd be happy to have your feedback on it. And but that's pretty much it. I hope it's not too complex, but useful nonetheless. And so I'll catch you up on the next video. Take care.